From a series that had serious implications and monumental changes to the landscape of HGC, we now find ourselves with Endemic versus Tempo Storm, where literally zero is at stake here. Both teams are locked in. Tempo Storm, our number 2 seed, Endemic at number 5. Welcome back here to HGC North America. I'm Jay Howe. This is Dreadnought, and Dreadnought, for these teams, last week, things might get a little different this series.
Yeah, and for anybody at home that might wonder, why do we expect it to get a little bit wild? Well, next weekend, these two teams have to compete in our playoff system. So every draft that they show within this patch, allowing Mephisto and maybe showing their interest, the value there, it's just hiding information. So with that in mind, knowing there are no implications and that there is something to definitely be worried about next weekend, it is in both of their best interests to essentially kind of throw that aside. And this is where we find our Gazlos, our Murkies, our Sylvanas. We actually have no idea if they're going to get that wild.
How do you pair her in there? That's all I'm
They're
wondering.
all specialists, you dingus.
Yeah, well, if we had a standings of heroes, we would see where they're at. Instead, we've got a standing of how North America is shaping up. LFM, the key thing to note there, these are the updated standings. No matter what Simplicity does, it's the plus-minus record, which is how LFM qualified. That's the big talking point from earlier, but Endemic sitting in that number 5 spot, going through some role changes of their own. Maybe some role changes today. Tempo Storm mentioned, I had a talk with Vin earlier this week. I kind of asked him, how would things go? And, well, we'll hear from him in just a second. We actually, we'll hear from both of these teams right now. So we can put this further into context. Let's see what they said.
Over the next few weeks, we're just looking to theory craft in preparation for playoffs and just draft differently, see how it plays out. I think our mindset going into the series is basically just to have fun and not to get too tilted and just focus on playoffs. After seeing how well they played last week, I expect Endemic to do quite well. I mean, we're still looking to 3-0 and have just as much fun, but it's going to be a tough time and it might go for 3-2.
So moving into this weekend, we're probably going to practice a lot more pocket picks. I'm gonna expect a weird series against Tempo. It's mostly gonna be standard, and if either team wants to bust some random stuff out, then we will. But mostly we'll both be holding stuff for playoffs. Vin is still a rookie coming into HGC, so he still can prove a lot more. But he's pretty trash. But no, just playing. He's pretty good.
Look, Dredd, I talked to both of those guys this week.
Yeah.
Biggie, I did an interview with Biggie. He jokes about it. Look, they have a great friendship. Biggie tells Vin before Vin's interview, he's like, oh, by the way, I called you trash. Vin comes in, he's like, man, I can't come up with anything to say. Messages me hours later. He's like, wait, I thought of something. I was like, do you want to record? We didn't get that through. Look, these guys are best friends. Maybe not best friends, but they're good friends. And so there is going to be some playful banter throughout this series. Maybe a few extra sprays, a few extra beat steps, maybe some changes within this. So it is a lighthearted series here at the end of Friday. So both these guys, it's a lot of fun, I think, between both of these teams. And we're going to find out what Battleground will start things off on, because any Battleground can call some different strategies. So we're going to hit Tomb of the Spider Queen right out of the gate.
Endemic, you heard Big Impact saying, I think for the most part it'll be standard. We're going to be hiding strategies. We may get some wild things here and there, but for the most part, a little bit closer to norm. Again, not showing exactly the strategies they would. What I like to call cookie cutter compositions is likely what you'll see. Ones that we know around the world are pretty good, not terrible, but don't show any personal interest in any direction or another, and they're already doing that within their map selection. Going to Tomb of the Spider Queen would be a very standard thing for them to be looking to. One of our few first priority to maps or teams in North America.
I asked Vin one, probably the most important question I could probably ask him.
Yeah, was it?
I said, you guys have done it twice this year. You've lost twice with it this year. Is it time to get a redemption Cho'Gall game?
Oh, maybe.
He laughed. He said, maybe.
Maybe. I'm down. I would like to get some Cho'Gall within this series. Or another hero that we've been waiting to see multiple performances on here. It's got to be Junanana. We haven't gotten too much. We've gotten a little bit. I think one game.
It didn't work out.
It didn't pack the punch that maybe it would like to, but maybe it will here for Tempo Storm.
Oh, speaking of which, for those of you, maybe some of these players you follow on social media, some of you don't. Cattle had a birthday yesterday, I believe. Happy birthday to Caterpillar.
Yeah,
June's was just this past week. So birthday shout-outs to a couple of members of Tempo Storm this past week, including one of our own at Blizzard, Sophist. Happy birthday to you three all. Apparently coordinating your birthday weeks here for HGC.
Honestly, pretty meta to have your mothers coordinate such at an early point in life, especially when you consider the age gap between Sophist and the remainder. That is some next level strategies there. As we get the bands coming through, Hammer, Tyrande, and Genji. So no Tyrande available. Tempo, bust out the Medivh. Definitely concerned if you're on the side of Endemic.
Nazebo
Snap.
right out of the gate.
I love it. Are we going to get an Ana maybe behind that one? Stim drone, or not a stim drone, but a nano boost. Nazebo, pretty good at throwing out a lot of damages. Nope. One of his original pairings, Zul and Nazebo together. Zombie wall, bone prison.
Skeleton bone, like a bone prison, skeletons that come out,
Yeah.
zombie wall.
And then
It's like a nightmare.
Then you spec into the once your zombie wall finishes, they all stay and attack. And
Chase after you.
Then you got the jailers following after the skeletons. Then you've got the scary zombies on the other side. I know there's some scary something on the other side. One in the form of a devil there with Diablo picked up for Tempo. But we get our very first North American Mephisto, original release Mephisto. He's going to be doing the damage here. I'm excited.
It's some serious damage output if you can land. I saw Dignitas played at the end of EU today. In some of the positioning and stuff, it's like you're trying to wrap your head around, like, boy, if you look at the total numbers in that 3 to 4, it's not always single target damage, but the amount of damage you can put out in such a short period of time, it's wild.
Yeah.
Deckard and Urel will be the bans in the second ban slot.
J-How, I know this is not normally going to be a series that we put that much analysis into, but there is a cool interaction that we get here with the Mephisto versus the Zul, and that is the fact that when Zul drops a bone prison, normally if you're a target and you want to gap close to be able to separate, but what you can do with Mephisto is separate with the teleport, the gap close, get the lockdown, and then be able to recall on the teleport back, so you're really just wasting the time of the Zul in that type of situation. Also works the same with the temporary offense that he has if Zul is going to respond with the bone prison. You force the wormhole 2.5 seconds later, and go ahead and blink right back.
So if we're not getting too wild, Zul in the tank position, first pick Nazebo, kind of crazy. The one thing about Zul comps is you want to get that blow up onto that target. Medivh, however, says, that's nice. Here's a force of will. I'm really wondering if that might be an Uther last pick, by the way.
It may be. Double support there for Endemic if they do commit with the Uther. J-How, I was going to say for a second there, one of my favorite 3 heroes on a roster that can be paired together would be Mephisto, Diablo, and Hanzo. They are some of the most threatening global heroics that exist in all of Heroes of the Storm when dropped on the same page. I'm back at my base, you're doing whatever, anything on the battleground, throw out a Dragon's Arrow with an APOC behind it while you start Mephisto's channel. You might even just get a kill and you weren't anywhere near it. It's one of my favorite openers there. We're not going to get it because of Hanzo on the other side, but I am curious to see if we'll get any APOC damage out there with Mephisto following up.
You're clearly talking about the heroic Durance of Hate where you shoot it out and get the root, right?
No.
Is that the one?
No.
No?
No, not that one.
That's because it's
the
not,
one where you get the
that's
line
because it's
above your
not
head.
buffed yet.
It's the one where you get the line above your head and then your health bar disappears really quickly.
Oh, we get the Ragnaros on the other side, Dreadnought. So we have the melee potential, no double support, but you have Zul and Ragnaros. If you do want to get, if there's no Medivh on the other side, that looks very good in the sense that here's a Bone Prison, here's the Zombie Wall, here's a Sulfurous Smash. With Medivh on the other side, that's hard to execute and hard to time. It's going to be difficult to get kills with that. They have the lockdown potential post 13. You've got the root from Whitemane. You've got several root opportunities with Zul. It's going to be fun. We also have a quick update. Cattle's going to be on Mephisto this game, Dreadnought.
Wait, we got Cattle on Mephisto? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
You get to play the damages, Cattle. You get to show them that you can, in fact, follow up. And so the next time that you go into comms and you'll be like, you should have followed up on that. You'll be like, what do you want from me? It's hard as an assassin. Be like, boys, when I played assassin, I did it, so where are you at?
He's going to, at the end of this, he's going to be like, fan who?
We're
Let's get into game number 1. Things are about to get a little wild here. Have some fun today.
In the blue here is Endemic, as I am way too far behind to keep up with these, but we got Cure on the Hanzo, Nazeebo played by Mike Udall, Whitemane played by Big Impact, B-Kid on the Zul, and Dansky on the Ragnaros.
For Tempo Storm. Get used to this one. Glaurung and an old Medivh.
Ooh.
This shades of 2017 are here. Kano will be on that Mephisto, Ven on Junkrat, Fan on the Diablo in June. Well, he doesn't really change much. He's going to be on the Alexstrasza.
Mephisto at level 1, going with the stacking Q and unyielding power.
Of all the level 1s, that's the last one.
Same.
That got a huge buff in this week's balance patch. There were some nerfs, but overall, that had a huge buff in that now that bonus damage is 100 instead of 60.
Fan on Diablo. Man, you don't want to know something weird to my brain? It seems more comfortable to see Cattle on a Mephisto than it is to see Fan on a Diablo. Is that weird?
I watch Fans stream so much.
That you've seen him on a little bit of
Yeah.
everything? Yeah, that makes sense.
Fans one of my
Ooh.
favorite streamers in the evening.
That zombie wall, value town there. Mikey Doll able to get the mount up. Not if he walks into that grenade. A second one against the wall. He's stuck in a corner. First blood here to Tempo.
And Ragnaros will fall in the bottom. So 2 members have fallen there. Ragnaros, it's been a while since we've seen him. Glaurung
Take it.
waiting for
Gonna play safer here.
old Medivh. You can get away with the dancing of portals. Newer Medivh, you can get away with 1, and that's about it.
Only if you have the Force of Will is that ever even that safe. And then you have to answer, do they have crowd control? Not in that type of situation, but Tempo not willing to commit to it yet here, as we see very fluid laning from Tempo. That's mainly because the Medivh, it's necessary. Cattle's dead.
Ooh.
Or never mind, excuse me, that was a teleport back there. I missed there. I thought he teleported in the opposite direction. I was like, he's going to come back to death. And can we just have a minute to appreciate this 1v1 in the northern lane? Because Vin is ruining Nazeebo.
Good start. Also, Cura on Hanzo brings up a change, slight change. Another one of our better streamers, guy that plays so much Hero League. I don't know if he actually does anything outside of Heroes.
Yeah,
which
you're
I
like,
don't
where's
blame him.
Scrims at?
Yeah, he's either in scrims or he's playing or he's streaming.
Dansky almost
Ooh.
caught again in that bottom lane. Big impact, though, there with the heals this time. Able to change the outcome there. It's actually full Q build out from Mephisto. I did not expect this here.
With this build, I anticipate the Q at 13 to get the spell power, and you just spam Q. I mean, it's the one thing. Mephisto is a very interesting hero. It has a built-in battle momentum based on doing damage, and using your abilities to get damage, your Lightning Nova in particular is where you can get some mega cooldown reduction. So there's a lot you can play around there.
And I think for anyone at home wondering, because battle momentum's a different beast than it used to be, right?
It is.
And so I think for anybody who's maybe a newer member, great concussion mine juke there from Cure. Cattle coming in with a follow-up, not going to have enough for the kill. But original battle momentum, a lot of heroes used to have that, much like Stone Skin, Block, things like that, the generic talents. And it got so good at the level 7 threshold that almost every hero in the game that had the option to pick it up eventually would take it. So if you're wondering, like, why is that natural battle momentum so impactful, we got to a point where we learned it was so good that you almost couldn't deny it. Outside of, I think, Malfurion was the only hero in the game where he had to cleanse over the battle momentum, and that is, I think I'm talking literally original Malfurion there.
Well, it's interesting because we look at the options and we look at Phoenix. He's one of the few that his is at 16, and his actually affects his heroic, unlike most other battle momentum style picks.
Yeah.
But for Mephisto, he has a level 13 ability, or talent, I should say, that allows the autos to get the cooldown reduction on heroics.
Puts you in a really good position to be able to set things up here. So far when looking at the lanes though, Endemic able to drop off 40 of those gems. Big win from them as they are rounding about that turn-in opportunity here. Cattle sitting in that abundance. One thing to keep in mind, Jay, how we haven't really talked about it, but having Alexstrasza and Mephisto together leaves you in a position to be able to teleport with Mephisto forward. And Glaurung actually with no portal here gets zombie walled and just taken out. That was a huge setback there, not near enough stacks to complete.
Dread and I both turned back to look at our cheat sheet stacking talent page, and we're both like, yep, that's a 0. It is the full cooldown on the Durance of Hate, so See how impactful that is if he picks that up at 13. Level 7, I think this is going to be the norm. Although, wait a minute, I think I saw armor earlier. The movement speed is 1. He needed some movement speed there as Michael Udall hits the B-step. Van just misses on the charge against the wall. But the movement speed, I've actually contemplated really which one I prefer, because there's the one where you get 20 armor while you're in and then a few seconds after you use that shade. But if you're tracking people down with your Lightning Nova and your W-style build, it seems... stutter stepping the same way that you would with a plasma cutter and a Phoenix and auto attacking. It's a little different with Mephisto. And I've seen teams, I even saw Fan during the early release of this, he would just use the movement speed to track people down. In this very instance, they cannot run away from you, and you just track them down with your Lightning Nova. So there's some, I think he was dead no matter what, but there's some use right there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I do like the pickup there. With the mobility, with the synergy, with the battle momentum, puts it in a position where it's debatably, if you play your cards right, the movement speed is greater effective HP than the armor itself. Just on your ability to juke, dive, get a little bit more damage out, and then also threaten. Dansky feeling that damage for now is Glarong. That's an escape on the portal, cleared there for Catalyst. You see the teleport out, teleport back. Call it a day. I love that interaction there between those two. And that's what I was saying with the Alex Straza. It's the exact same thing, but in favor of the Mephisto.
Ooh, Glaurung just able to escape. Can't get in Raven form before the root comes in, and the Lash almost comes in there.
He has no shield!
Biggie will track him down, and Cure will come in for the cleanup. And another reset there. Ooh, Scatter just missed on the Cattle.
Yeah, I know it's been a bit since we saw Glau over on the Medivh, but I'm not going to lie, I didn't expect him to have these kind of struggles this early on.
Well, you know, if the Medivh is on the other side and has the force of will, and you're afraid that Sulfuris Smash won't get any value, then there's only one other Trixler talent to pick at Ragnaros.
Yeah, you're right. You got to go Lava Wave.
It's here.
It's here, baby.
Cure will find himself Diablo. Knows that he can agility over before the charge could potentially come out. But Lava Wave. Zul still debating his heroic. No Ravenous Spirit. Instead, we'll get the Gargantua in this game.
Glarong and friends taking the portal. Getting a concussion mine there from Vin. Been on point with those throughout the entirety of this game. If he hasn't gotten the kill, he's threatened one. As the best heroic in the game makes its way through the top lane.
Oh, yes. It actually sounds really cool.
It actually does.
Well, there's nothing else there.
I mean, there's nothing audibly. I was actually just thinking this before you say that. With the Bone Prison, that like kind of grumbles, and you hear that lava wave just like all the way in the background. That's threatening. You know, in 2 seconds, you're gonna just be locked down and dead.
So in the early game, and I always want to tell people this because we don't see a lot of Ragnaros, but if you're playing Ragnaros and you're learning Ragnaros, using your Molten Core on the middle fort allows you to hit all 3 lanes. I think that's something if you're learning the hero. Michael, you know, I was like, don't spread that polymorph to me. He puts Biggie in the zombie wall, and they're on the same team, Dread.
Yeah, and you can see the strength, if you will, out of the heroic choice coming from the Mephisto. The Consumed Soul pickup got a lot of value of it. It's setting up that initiation and putting a large amount of damage output there.
Well, that Zul heroic is really winning me over.
Yeah, I really love me some question marks too. That's often why I main the random hero in quick match.
Oh, Glaurung goes down again.
Dude, these zombie walls from Mike Udall have been just sniffing Glau out on that Medivh. That is about, I think, the 3rd one where we've seen a big setup there around the Medivh.
You know, there's a game out there where sometimes you run over something that's a question mark and you get something at random.
Yeah.
What if, like, the random select guy is Mephisto? He's going to get stuck in there. Some healing will come down and support. But what if the random guy was just the random guy model, and then every talent tier was just random talents?
I mean, I'm down.
That should be a new brawl.
Yeah, I'm in. I wouldn't mind that in the full. Actually, I would. That much RNG sounds like a bad idea. It's a high-risk, low-reward type circumstance. But I agree with you.
You would still play it,
in
though.
a brawl, I'd play it all day. I'm just saying, overall, I'm not sure how I feel about it there. Is tempo keeping up their tempo here for now with these Web Weavers?
Well, we are still getting the full Q build, so now you get the bonus spell power. If you get the cooldown reduction on your abilities and you can spam that Q out, it works very well. So Cattle showing us his hand at the Q build. So once you hit once, it's a matter of continuing to hit. Similarly to Mephisto, or excuse me, Medivh hitting his rifts with his Q talent.
Mephisto rip boss pretty well. I know he does, I mean, reasonable damage output, but not that much.
Yeah,
I feel like it's probably
much.
one of his biggest setbacks because the battle momentum, unless you spec into it, only affects on heroes. You're crippled pretty heavily when it comes to your boss control.
Animosity at 16 with the extended Lightning Nova. I like that one. There's a spell power build. I think we saw it earlier in EU, but it doesn't matter. We've got a fight underway. There's going to be the flip over. Lightning Breath is out. B-Kid stuck in that zombie wall. The Riptire will come in. That will confirm 2. Make it a 3rd. As the poison is there.
Last man standing there over that top lane as Dansky comes out of that Molten Core. Mission accomplished for Tempo Storm. The boss was baited. Got the 4 kills, only 4 gems, Jayhawk, now exists in the hands of Endemic, and they're removing one of those counterplays through this boss on the top half. Tempo, it's not quite there, but it's about rounding that their game to lose situation.
Cattle 23 stacks on his level 1 on Mephisto. Hasn't quite completed that yet. Boss did take
Quite a bit of time.
a while, yeah.
Mephisto Medivh, not the best boss control. Or not control, but race potential over those bosses. Turns out, Cure going to take a trade into Cattle. Zombie Wall not in time that time to get the counterplay. I can respect the attempt of counterplay here, though, with the Nazebo into the Mephisto.
All right, we also see Superstition. This used to be much stronger. It still has some value for Nazebo. Getting spell armor, 40 spell armor, but whenever you take an auto attack, that goes away. Endemic, they'll have their defense here. Should be able to hold against this boss.
But when we consider the spell damage out from Tempo, I actually don't mind it, even
Yeah.
though with it falling out of favor. Every one of Tempo's damage dealers is primarily magic damage.
The Cattle will continue to go in and work his magic with the Lightning Nova. The 16 picked up, and we do get that Animosity Dreadnought.
Got the Animosity there to extend the Lightning Nova by 2.5 seconds.
I really like going a spell power build around the Lightning Nova.
Yeah.
And then the Animosity. There's a argument for the percent-based damage within the radius on his other Lightning Nova talent.
Yeah.
But the Animosity plus your Shade cast at 20, the damage output, if you land it right, whoo.
One of my first games I got on the Mephisto, I went like full Lightning Nova build pretty much. And it was a 4 melee composition with like an Illidan just Death Ball. And I got like 3 to 4 full value out of that talent. And the biggest thing that's the biggest surprise is when you get massive value out of it, that shield that you pick up at 13 when I went full W, I came out with 2 health bars. I legitimately walked away with what felt like a Tychus, like original release Tychus, where you're like, I can't go down.
Lava Wave was used on the bottom. Molten Core used here on the top. We'll try and defend against these Web Weavers. See if the keep falls behind this. Nicely done to get the Web Weaver down. Caterpillar is just melting the health bar. B-Kid just looking to survive, and Cattle getting so much trait value in this fight.
And you see the Animosity allowing him to be in a position to help enable that a little bit more with that 2.5 second duration opportunity. Mixed with the auto attacks coming in as well. Glad with a very offensive rotation, but it's possible thanks to Medivh as we through that beautiful crow come out over the audio cues here. But Tempo keeping up the siege while Endemic still without the 16. Not much they can do. Fan comes in, flips over Dansky. Not enough damage follow-up yet, but Cattle still has his heroic at any point if things look opportunistic here for Tempo.
They'll try and siege up here. They don't exactly have the greatest sieging potential. Does Tempo Storm. And Cattle is just terrorizing Cure. It reminds me of my Diablo 2 days going into Mephisto's room.
Tempo keep here at the siege. The chain on the leash there from Big Impact at 13 on the Glau. He's going to be the focus there for a moment. Big Impact here, able to survive as the Scarlet Aegis popped along with the heroic use there out of the Mouth Ale. Tempo Storm pick up their first 2 kills here and continue their siege.
Still a ways away from getting another turn in. Endemic seems like an eternity since they've had a turn in. They only have 16 gems, 13 of those being with Dansky. And Dansky, he goes down. And Tempo Storm with a 5 versus 3 advantage. See if they try and end the game or whether they just play for keeps.
I mean, and with 20 advantage, I would be willing to threaten there. Blau actually extremely low. Guard not going to have the AI sensibility to close that one out as we get the Life Finder out from June. Cattle and Fan decide to make easy work there. Ponzo over the second. Cattle following up on Glarong's portal now.
That was actually a really cool play by Vin. He went back into the portal, which was just outside of that circle, which is the attack range of the core, and then played up around that edge to make sure he didn't eat any more shots to survive. Now Big E will use his heroic to try and stay alive as Cattle and team continue to try and track down. 20 tier, shields down, core fall.
It's a matter of time. The Lava Wave comes through. The clutch heal, though, actually procs a fraction of a second before. Dansky with a cheeky attempt there. His tempo, 50% still onto the core.
Oh, Cattle
getting so much value out of that Lightning Nova. Riptire coming in to finish the job. Big impact.
Oh.
Has the damage with the lash. Tempo. Clean up shop here onto the core. Take game number 1 over Endemic. On 2.
Cattle showing that, you know, he's more than just a tank player.
Let's get the stats. Let's see the stats. What is our warrior when converted over? Oh, baby. Look at that. Woo! 61,000 damage there. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually more impressed with Glarong's damage outplay. The fact that Glarong struggled 3 to 2 deaths before getting the 40 proc on the Master's Touch, I feel like that's impressive.
Hold on.
All right.
Are you that guy that sometimes maybe has a few extra deaths in the game and says, but I did damage, but you kind of died for it?
I mean, I would argue if I think that the risk of my life was greater than whatever I ended up gaining out of that type of situation.
We've all done it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
we've all done it.
Yeah. No, I think he did a good job. Normally a Medivh that struggles that hard in the early game, you look at the damage dealer compared to how impactful Mephisto was. There was 10,000 difference between Mephisto and Medivh. If you look at that early game, you go 0% chance that's going to happen when that last fight was so dominated by Cattle.
I wonder how much damage Cattle put out in that last fight. He melted 2 heroes, then had his animosity proc, and then ended up using his shade, teleporting down. We'll have to standardize that terminology, but ends up going down, and I'm like, man, he is melting everybody. He melted 2 people at once. He's like, what if I just am done with these 2 and go to a third? And that is what Mephisto brings to the table. Post 16 with that animosity. I'm still not entirely sold on the Q build from 1-4 and 13. 13, I like it for the spell power. If you couple that with the spell power at 1 on your blink, teleport shade. What are we going to call that, by the way?
I like it. Well, for the spell itself, I don't remember the official name for the teleport out from him. I'll look that up in the next game. But I will say, when it comes to what he leaves, like remaining,
the shade.
I prefer shade. It looks the most like a shade, but I can see arguments as to why we would go something else, you know? But it's just a dark model of him afterwards.
Yeah, until level 20, then he's terrifying because he's got the Lightning Nova around.